Awesome. You have a lot of questions. Some of you, when I joined Treford for the first time, I had a lot of questions. One of the reasons I had questions was because I wanted to go into product management, but I had read like a few weeks before about an article that someone wrote where he said, is product management even necessary in building tech products? And I was like, hey, I'm trying to go into this career and you're telling me, is it necessary at all? So the long and short of the answer is yes, it is necessary, but we'll go into that during the course of the presentation today. So some of you probably have questions like, where did product management come from? Is it just a buzzword? Is it new? Is it new career? How much? That's like the big question that probably people have on their minds. How much can you make as a product manager? Are product managers even necessary? Like some people might feel like, oh, this question is redundant. Like, is it even necessary? Like, but these people do have this kind of questions. Some people are probably wondering how much power they have as a product manager. You're wondering, can I actually fire people? Some of you are wondering if we invented product management in the first place. Like, why is it even necessary? Just in the chat box, just tell me any questions you have about product management. I'll be checking through the chat box just to see. Because this is actually for you. I want to make sure that, of course, there's a whole presentation structured. Don't worry, you know. I'm even thinking of sharing some videos and just making it as interactive as possible, and so we have fun while we are doing this. Sorry. So let me know what questions you have about product management very quickly. Do I need to know how to code or have knowledge of coding to manage products? That's a very, very interesting question. A very popular question, actually. So don't worry, this question will be answered today. Anyone else? How can someone position themselves to get the job? Okay, pretty much the usual questions. So we have questions about coding, we have questions about jobs. How can someone with experience in operations, project management in the tech space get started with product management? Awesome. Transitioning. How difficult is it to get internship opportunities? I'm just going to tell you that for free now before we get into it, that it depends on you. It's not difficult at all. It just depends on the person applying. And I'll probably just give you a hint on how to position yourself to apply properly. Internship. Will we be able to? I think that question is for me. So this is a very smart question. I think my will help with that. I asked yesterday on product Twitter community the difference between projects and awesome. That's also going to be answered today. My question is, I was told most organizations commit their products to developers or designers. So does this limit product jobs for product managers? Awesome. This is a very, very important question because this was one of the questions I had. And just to encourage you guys, I need you to ask as many questions as possible. So I might be in a session, but drop the questions. I want to take them because there's a structured way that everybody gets into introduction of product management. To tell you this, sometimes it's information that you don't really need at the point, but you need to have these questions answered, right? So I'll just take a couple of them. So it's not like I'm ignoring your questions. It's not like there's a whole slide presentation, but I'll just take a couple of them and just give insights into a couple of them before we start. What are the key skills? Awesome. So my presentation is tailored properly. I just needed to do that. So the first question is, do I need to know how to code or have the knowledge of coding to manage products? Do you need to know how to code to be a product manager? That's the first part of the question. The answer is no, actually. And I've actually seen situations where people transition from engineering or development, like coding, and it's limited their efficiency in product management because, when you know how to do something, you just want to get in. It has its pros and its cons for you not having any knowledge of product management. And one of the pros is you tend to focus on what is most important. So what you are to do as a product manager is to make sure your product is as effective and efficient as possible. So empathy towards users, understanding the scope, the business, the market that your product is going into. So you might be lazy if you have the knowledge of coding, because usually people that code, people that build, engineers, that's what they know how to do. That's what they are best at. So they just want to build. And that's why we need product managers, because everybody just says, oh, they just had an idea. Oh, I want to build. But that doesn't mean that you're going to make a good product or make a good business out of it. And that's where product managers are important, because the fact that you've conceived an idea, you thought about something. I mean, I'm sure all of us, when we're growing up, we had ideas. Like, one of the things I wanted to do when I was growing up was I wanted to be the first Nigerian to build a flying car. I was like, no, I have to be the first. Elon Musk is kind of living the life that I dreamed of as a child. Anyways, that's why I can't be angry with him. He's my guy. He's my uncle, by the way. Anyways, so the knowledge of, do you need to know how to code? No. Do you need to have the knowledge of coding to manage products? Maybe yes. You need to understand how coding works so that you can, because you're working with developers, you're working with engineering, you just need to understand how they think, understand what it takes to do this or do that. That doesn't mean you need to go deep inside. Like, I don't think I've actually had to code ever in my life, right? And I don't need to tell you how much I'm making or, okay, but I'm working with the company in San Francisco. I don't know how to code, right? I'm trying to learn no code, but I don't know how to code. So I think that answers your question. We still have a couple more questions. How long did you study product management, and do you need certifications to land a PM job? Okay, so this question is very specific to me. So I'll just answer that question very quickly. I studied product management. I think I did a full focus of about, but it's just me. I did full focus for about 2 months, and I caught a grasp of, I was able to grasp a lot about product management, but the rest of it came from practice. So you don't have to wait 2 months. You don't have to wait weeks. You can just get the basic stuff and then start to put it to practice. You can actually start to practice before you actually have that title product manager. Do you need certifications to land a PM job? No and yes. It totally depends on the company, what they're trying to find. And also it totally depends on you. Like, if you have a high Nilua, okay, if you have a background that shows efficiency in product management or relating to product management, I don't think anybody's really going to bother about certifications. Like, I'm sure we all know that people don't really check what you studied in school if you're applying for product management. Okay, maybe we don't all know, but they don't really check. So I studied material science and engineering. It did not come up at all in my interview, in any of my interview rounds, whether I studied this or what I finished with. It didn't. So yeah, so that's another thing. It doesn't matter what you finished with, right? I think some companies want you to actually have a BSc. Some companies don't care, but basically you're going to be interviewed based on product management, the scope of what product management is about. Nobody's going to ask you what you finished with, what year you finished, or whatever. No, that doesn't really matter. Orimen, you wrote I in your, I'm guessing you have a question, or you're just greeting me. Oh, it was deleted. It's deleted. Can I say something? Yes, please do that now. This is for you. So I want to make sure you can quickly say something if you want to say something.
Okay.
Victor?
Good morning, guys.
Yeah.
My name is Abugu Victor. I'm working with Global Technologies. Actually, I want to buttress the point that the person made mention of you having a code idea before transitioning into product management. Actually, you don't really need it, but if you have the idea, that's where you being a technical PM comes to play, or technical APM comes to play, where you have a technical idea how to solve a problem, because PM is all about solving problems, being customer-centric, attending to customers, stakeholders, ensuring that things are being done at the proper time. And but let me just keep it here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. So I'll just quickly dive into 2 words, right? It has product and it has management. So we're going to take it separately and then bring it together. for us to have an understanding of what it is. So a product is anything that can be sold to serve a customer need. So anything that you can sell at all is a product, right? So let me just see. I'm very, very sorry. I sort of like to look at things in the minimized form. So let me just, so a product is anything that can be sold to serve a customer need. So I just want, in the chat box, just tell me examples of products. We're not going to spend too much time here. We're not going to spend too much time here. So just tell me any product that you know. So like I just said now, from the explanation, a product is anything that can be sold. WhatsApp, good. Gift card, awesome. Let's take like 10 more, because I need people to. Penny tree. Okay, I don't know that product, but yeah, I'm guessing it's a product. Facebook app, you sent it to me in direct message. Cheaper, Telegram, a fintech app. Yes, awesome. If you have examples of products outside software technology, that would be really nice. Oil, awesome. Food, clothes, toiletry. Okay, Oromen, I'll answer that question later. I'll just make sure that I leave some time to answer this question. Shoes, toothpaste, clothes are great products. Yes, chicken, meat, those are products. Anything that you can sell to satisfy a need is a product. So you need, people can sell you clothes because you need to cover your nakedness, or you need to look good. And these are different stages of needs or wants. Like, for example, for me, I'm not buying a shirt or anything just to cover my shirts, right? I'm actually, so because I don't want this to be breaking too much, so you can just keep your questions. I'll take them at intervals. So when I teach for a while, I'll take questions. When I teach again, I'll take questions again. So for me, my need is to look good, right? So if you're selling me a shirt that doesn't look good, even though it covers my nakedness, it's not a product I want to buy, right? Am I speaking the minds of some people here? Yeah. So there's food, the same way with food, right? Food, you need to eat, right? Because you need to eat for energy, you need to eat to live. But then if I bring a food to you, let's say I bring, which food can I throw under the bus today like this? Let's say I bring semo because it's trash, right? And I bring semo to, sorry if that's, if you feel attacked by that, but if someone brings semo to me, I probably would not take it, right? Even though it's food and I'm hungry, I'm like, no, this is trash, right? So it doesn't satisfy my needs or my wants, or it's something that can be sold. This is something we're going to talk about a lot later. So the fact that I'm hungry doesn't mean I can eat anything, right? You need to give me chicken and jollof rice, and probably pounded yam. Take that semo and put it in the dustbin where it's meant to be, right? So awesome. I love the energy as how everybody is actually typing questions in the chat box, and I'm reading everything. So this definition, now I'm not asking for products in general, which is management. So I'm just going to give you a textbook definition, and then we experientially experience what management is. So management is the process of planning, decision-making, organizing, leading, motivating, and controlling the human resources, financial, physical, and information resources of an organization to reach its goals effectively and efficiently. Now, I've said a lot of things, but let's just break it down. Just understand that it's a process, man, right? It's a process. It doesn't happen once, but it's a process. And then there's a lot of all these things. It's just to help organize. And then there's an end goal, which is to be able to reach its goals. How do I do this? Reach its goals effectively and efficiently. So, you know what product is? We are getting an idea of what management is. I have a couple of chats. Let me quickly check. And okay, yes, also to be inappropriate. Yes, I agree. So we have a sense of what management is, right? So let's move to the next screen. Sorry. Okay, so when we say management, the first thing that comes to our head is probably the first picture. You're like, "Oh, let me just manage properly. I don't want to spend too much." Because some of us, when we're growing up, we're like, this child is a manager. Jonathan is just managing things well. And our understanding of management is just squeeze something so it doesn't finish, right? Just make sure it does not finish. Like you say, oh, are you managing your food well? Yeah, eating it properly. You're probably leaving the meat to the end. Some of us still do that. We're adults now, but we still leave the meat to the end, even though that was like a stuff they do for kids so that they don't get tired of the food too fast. Anyways, so the next picture is a picture that is probably, I mean, maybe there are a couple of tush kids here that you probably stay in Maytama in Abuja or something like that, or you probably live overseas and speak with an accent like I'm doing right now. So you don't know what this is. Let me just explain to you. When you use toothpaste and it has almost finished, there's still small inside. Like you're squeezing it, nothing's coming out. There's still something inside. So some people don't used to agree, Jonathan. They'll now take scissors and cut it and then start to squeeze the toothpaste from the inside, right? Some people say, I'm managing it. I'm managing my money. Instead of me to go and buy new toothpaste, this is how you manage, right? And so people have an understanding of management. Okay, so people have an understanding of management that a manager is someone that is just like, do this, do that, get this done, get this by my table by 5 p.m., get this by my table by 3 p.m. You don't do this, you're fired. So yeah, I'll probably speak in the minds of a couple of people here. But let's now take it down. So what product management is, because Jonathan, you've seen products that are useless, you've seen products that are useful, you've seen management, you've seen how management is sort of in a scarcity mentality, especially in Nigeria. We sort of see management in sort of like a scarcity mentality. That's nothing like what management is in product management. It's not scarcity mentality, right? And some people see product management as I have all the authority to do this and do that. I mean, if you're here for that, I just want to tell you, Expo, that's not what you're going to be doing. So what are we going to be doing in product management? So I'll just, oh, sorry, I moved too far. Okay, yes. So product management is a process that focuses on bringing a new product to market or developing an existing one. So great product management organizations help a company set product vision, roadmaps, establish goals and strategy, and drive execution on each product throughout its life cycle, right? So a product is anything that you can buy or sell to meet a customer need or want, but mostly need. If you're doing product management, it should be a need, right? And then management is how you help that product, which is inside in a business, achieve its goals. And the way that we do that is first understanding who we are selling to. Like that example that I gave at the start, it's like the cheat code for life, right? You are selling to someone in need, right? You are selling to someone in need. So what makes you a viable business, or what keeps you in business, is if the person receiving what you're selling needs it or wants it, or it's appealing to the person. So I made an example of how if you bring semo to me, no matter how hungry I am, I will just pack that semo in one hand and slap you with it, right? Like I might not have energy, I'm hungry, but I will do that. I will sacrifice my energy to do that because it's the appropriate thing to do. I hope I'm not. Is there anybody here that likes semo? Okay, I'm just hoping there isn't. So I don't. Okay, please. My name is not Inni Kari. Anyways, let me just move on. So let me just give you a brief understanding of how product management started, right? So Neil McElroy was the father of product management, and one of the things that happened was he was in Procter and Gamble at the time. Yeah, I think it was Procter and Gamble, and he noticed that people were going through processes, but it was not effective, right? He just looked at things and he felt, hey, you love semo. Sorry. So he just looked at things and he felt we can make this better, right? The line that is moving for toiletries, we can make this a lot more effective. So he created a term called brand managers. And what brand managers were supposed to do in the memo that I released was they were supposed to help the brand, the company, achieve its goals faster and more effectively. So the father of product management became, he went to ed NASA, and then he became the Secretary of Defense in the USA. So apart from the fact that you're helping the company, you're helping yourself, because now you're reaching the goals, or like it started from, you are reaching the goals that you set for yourself as well. So Neil McElroy actually had mentees, and his mentees were the people called that invented HP, Hewlett Packard. So HP went on from what he taught them to make a 50-year. Some of us don't know what 50 years is because we don't even come close to that age bracket. So imagine a company make 20% year-on-year growth. Okay, between 1943 and 1993, that's 50 years. This is not 2 years, it's not 10 years, it's not 20 years, it's not 30 years. 50 years, and they were growing 20% every year, right? So this is what everybody was like waking to. Oh my God, it's like, even though we can do this, we need someone to actually make us, or a group of people to make us more effective in what we're doing. And that's what product management is all about. So notable philosophies that have embodied the concept of product management into their businesses. Toyota, for example, I'm sure many of us remember about Hiroshima in Japan and how Japan had to build stuff from scratch. Like they had to start again from scratch. Japan was actually the powerhouse in Asia. It was not China, like most of us think. Like maybe many years ago, China was like the main, because even Japan came out of China. But Japan grew so big that they were even more powerful than China. And then they wanted to take over the world. So they went to touch the tail of the tiger, the USA. And then they flattened everything. So they had to start from scratch. And Toyota was one of those companies that was helping rebuild what they had. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you what Toyota is. Like, you know, if you're in Nigeria, I know we have someone from, even Nairobi safe, because I saw someone from Nairobi on the call. Yeah, Japanese miracle. Yeah, I agree. So Toyota actually embodied a lot of concepts from what Neil McElroy did, which is the foundations of what product management was at the start. And we can see how Toyota has blossomed from then. So there's something called Kanban. It's a product management philosophy in the agile methodology, Kanban. So I think Kanban actually started, because I think that's a Japanese word. I'm not absolutely sure. I think it is. Anyways. So Toyota actually started with the use of Kanban. Some of their notable philosophies: Kaizen, Genchi, Genbutsu, Naze Bonseki. I love Japanese people. I've worked with them for a while, so that's why I know these things. Not as if you need to know it as a product manager, but I've worked with them for a while, so I do understand this. So Naze Bonseki is one of my favorite philosophies. It's called the why analysis. So what they do is they ask why until they get to what the root of the problem is. So in this world, we sort of assume what problems are. And that's why we probably fail in relationships. Yes, so benefits of product management. So like I said, I've already started to touch on this a little bit actually. So it's a profession for ambitious people. Like I'm telling you, if you have a bit of a zeal, a bit of a fire in you, this is one of the best places you can throw that in, because there's so many things you can do. Right now, I'm actually working in about 3 places. So I had a friend ask me, "You're working for an international company, so why are you still getting other jobs? And not jobs, not full-time jobs. I consult for a crypto company in Nigeria. And by the way, I'm not 2 years in product management. These guys need to understand what's going on. Okay, don't let me gaslight myself too much. I consult for a crypto company in Nigeria. I teach product management on the side. I had to reject a teaching gig last week. I have to honor Trevor because this is where most of it started from. And I'm also a product owner in a company in the US. So why do I do that? Because there's a way that when you start to build stuff, it just becomes part of you. Like you just want to build stuff. When you taste success, you can help people be successful in one thing. You want to extend it everywhere, right? It's just like, it's not, you can't hide gold. If gold is in a place, you know, right? People will find it. People will search to find it and stuff like that. So anyways, it's for ambitious people. If you're ambitious, you can go up to the CEO job. So because the product management is a cross-functional role, there are so many things you can do. Like I've started to nurse ideas of actually transitioning into different places in the software space, right? So I'm telling you for free, like if you're a product manager, your career, you can actually jump into a couple of things. I don't totally advise that. You can jump into a couple of things in the software space. So you can move into data, you can move into, if you feel like, oh, let me just go to customer support, let me learn a little bit about, you can do all that and you'll be very effective at any of it. You can move to design because as you learn in experience with product management, you start to understand the concept of design. Development as well. Like I'm moving into, like I told you guys, I'm learning Bubble, I'm learning data as well. I'm just like, it's exciting how all these things are. Let me just learn a bit of what makes all these things up. So yeah, like I said, it's a cross-functional job. It means you're in everywhere. You're in the center of everything that's happening. So you can see what sales is all about. You can see what marketing is all about. You can see what development is all about. You can see what design is all about. You can see what it means to be a stakeholder. You can see what it means to be a CEO. You are conversing with all these people. It's like a big boy. Anyways, let me just so it's highly paying and highly rewarding. Trust me, I can tell you for a fact, right? So I'll just say a little bit about myself. So last year, I made a goal that I wanted to get a job with an international company. I was living in the trenches of Abuja. Okay, I'm not going to mention the place because some people are probably living there like, no, this guy didn't just call where I'm living trenches. It's not that bad, but it was not the level I wanted for myself. But this year I moved. I changed my laptop, I changed my phone, I changed my wardrobe, changed everything basically. And it's highly rewarding, basically. Like I'm a testimony. If you want to find out more, you can just text me. So yes, it's an influential role, which means you can make a lot of influence in any company you find yourself. But it's not the power that can corrupt because they're not going to give you that kind of power any company. But you decide what products should be shipped. You can decide when they should be shipped and all this. It has a lot of responsibility and power, and it's highly rewarding. And I'm going to stress that again, that it's highly rewarding because usually software developers or people that code are the highest paid people in software. Some of us run away because you know how stressful it is. Product managers, generally speaking, on the average, are paid on par with developers. So this is why you see a lot of people moving into product management. Like Jonathan, that your friend that is developer that is cashing out can make exactly the same amount of money as a product manager. And I'm talking, this is US standard, right? They pay, the pay is in par. Anyways, I hope you're feeling good about that. I just tried to chip in a little things about product management. So let's move on. So what do you need? So I'm going to stress this a little bit. What do you need to succeed in product management? I'll stress this part a little bit. You need a deep level of commitment. Like, you know how stressful it is to learn coding? It's not stressful to learn product management, but it's still stressful, right? You might start to feel a strain of all the information you're getting in yourself. You might start to feel like, oh, there's so much to do. Like it's the center of everything. But that's the beautiful part about it. Now, I'll just say a little bit about myself. Last year, in May, I think, I was super, super depressed because I took a decision to move into this career path, and it was just stressful for me. And that's why I said I needed to take some time out to just read books. I got a mentor. My mentor is the head of products in Germany right now, but at the time, he was just a senior PM when I texted him. So I just found him on Twitter, and that's one of the lovely things about Twitter. So I just found him on Twitter. I texted him in the DMs. I kept stressing on it. And then he called me and he was like, oh, hey, why don't we do this, right? I had to pay him, by the way. But then we did it, and here I am. Anyways, so you need patience because you don't need to wait too long to get a job. But you do need some time to start to catch a grip of everything, right? So it needs patience, it needs hard work, it needs smart work. And honestly, you have one life to live. I was telling one of my friends, she's working in growth right now for a startup, and she was just complaining about a couple of things. And I said, if your company that you're working in at the moment is not making you happy, apply to other companies that you feel will make you happy, right? Take solace in that. I was like, oh my God, how do I do that? And so she said, oh, now I'll just tweet about it. I said, no, go to the CEO's DMs, go to the HR's DMs, go on LinkedIn and message them directly. I was like, what? I should do what? The worst they can say is just no. They just tell you no, try again later. Finish. What's what? You just feel bad about it for a moment. Kick it off, go again. And she's like, oh my God, that's true. But anyways, you have one life to live. Play it big. If you want to work for Facebook as your first job, it is possible. It's hard, but it's very possible. If you want to do it, you can do it. I have someone I follow on YouTube. She actually prepares people to get jobs in fan companies. So Facebook, Amazon. She said she helped. So I was watching one of her testimonials where she had an interview with a lady she helped. She had no experience in product management, and she helped her to get a job as an associate product manager in Google. So when she was signed on, Google bought her a car. I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, they are signing you to come and work with them. They're saying, oh yeah, take this car as gifts. Anyways, this is very interesting, the software products world. So okay, sorry, I can't read this right now because I'm still teaching, but I'll take a look at it. So fall in love with product management. Yes, you need to fall in love with product management. Product management is a lot, right? So just fall in love with products. That's why I showed you products that were not necessarily software products. It's what you're doing right now. I'm going to show you ways that you are already doing product management right now in your life that you don't really know. But just fall in love with it. Fall in love with the idea of building something. Fall in love with new technologies, the metaverse, crypto, whatever it is. Just fall in love with helping people satisfy their needs, right? Start to see people that need things. Like you see, you have a friend that doesn't wear good shoes. That's a need, though. If you wanted to start a market for him alone, just sell shoes. If you understand that his problem is that it's too expensive, sell shoes that are affordable, and he gets it. That's product management. So anyways, moving on. Yes. So one of the key principles of product management is prioritization. So super important for product managers. So we need to know in the list of priorities. So one of the books I read, who was it? I can't remember who he was. Can't remember the book. I read a lot. So he walked into an office and he saw their secretary. She had a pile of documents on her table. So I was like, oh, why is this pile so much? I was like, oh, she's swamped. I was just like, oh, why don't you prioritize these documents into what you need to solve now and what you need to solve later? I said one simple answer. Everything is important. That's a lie, right? When we want to be lazy, we say everything is important. Deep down, and that's why we did this very quick quiz. Deep down, you have an order of priority. And deep down, for every company, there's an order of priority. And let me say the first thing, the most important thing for any software product or any software company, I'm going to tell you this for free, is to make the first cash. Get the first paying customer. That's the most important thing. So if I want to build, let me see something I kind of want to build. Let me just use an example that exists. My head is somewhere else. So I don't know if you know Donzo. Let me type it. If you know this, just say yes. Then I'll know that new people have really been doing this. Who knows this? There's no Indian here. Is this just expo for an Indian? Anybody? I'll wait for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so I'm going to assume that nobody knows what Donzo is. So Donzo it's a big tech company in India. It's really big. Is it a unique? I think it's a unicorn. I'm not totally sure, but it's that big. Like it's big to be worth $1 billion. That's kind of big. So Donzo's first product was a WhatsApp MVP. I'm going to explain MVP later, but I'll just give you like a brief understanding of what it is. So they wanted to sell stuff and do logistics, but they didn't have an app. They didn't have any money. So they started with WhatsApp. So they created like a group or chats, and then oh, do you need something? Yes, I need it. I need it from here. And then they would collect the data and actively go and get those things and bring it to those people, and those people will pay them. Their company has kicked off, right? They don't have an app. They don't have developers, they don't have designers. But on WhatsApp, they started the concept and they saw this is something that people need, right? So what they needed to do now, getting the money that was already coming in, they're putting it back into the business, and then they are making the whole process simpler for them, right? It's also more efficient for the people because at the point when they are solving the problem with just a WhatsApp MVP, it's just WhatsApp, right? These people are already getting value for money. So the moment you say, oh, hi, we've made this into an app, they're like, oh, super, like this is much easier. Then they go on the app and then they can order stuff and all that. So what I'm saying is the most important thing for any business is to get money first. So if you're studying any business, you're in product management, you're a startup product manager, which is a type of product manager. The business doesn't have anything yet. Your goal is to get them the first amount of money and the first customer. C'est fini. So at the company that's growing, the priorities list changes as the company grows, as the company moves from just something that is being introduced into the market or something that is growing or something that is in its maturity stage or a product that is declining. For example, Skype. I don't know if anybody uses Skype yet, but it's in its decline, right? Everybody is on Zoom or Google Meets or even Microsoft Teams. I see people use it. But Skype was the first to enter the market. So it was the first, like the largest market share was like the first main video conference in video, whatever. Anyways, let me move on. You use Skype? Yes. What do you use it now? Do you use it now? So you do dump people, no problem. Solomon, are you Yoruba? Please. Anyways, so did he answer? Yes. Oh, he still uses it for office. Nice. Like it's very hard to see people use Skype these days. That's awesome. They still have their target market. Anyways, so let's move on. Just introduce the concept of prioritization that we already prioritize in life. Like if you have if you have money coming to, when I got my first salary, which was way more than, it was like 10x my previous salary, there was something I wanted to buy first, right? And it was, I need to change my location. Like, this place is the trenches. That was the highest priority for me. And that's the first thing I did. So I moved straight away. Anyway, so let's move. So slide is not working. So I just wanted to ask this question now. If you became the president of Nigeria, I'll just take the first 5 people. What problems, for top 3 problems will be the highest priority to you? We have elections coming up. So I feel like this is a question that is, so yes. So now one of the key things that makes management what it is measurement. Like the ideal understanding of what management is not a scarcity mentality. It's not about hounding people to do something. It's not about shouting at people. It's about measuring success. That's management. So you have to measure things to know if they are bad, they are performing badly, or they are performing well. So these are a couple of things you're going to see in product management. Don't get too, if this is your first time hearing about product management, don't get too stressed about it. I'm going to take this last one briefly. I'll take this last one briefly just to explain what measurement and management is. So we have stuff like KPIs, we have OKRs, we have MRRs or ARRs, we have churn rates, DAOs, MAOs, and the one I'm going to be taking here, team velocity. So if you are building a product, you have usually a team of developers, designers, you have a product manager, you probably have, depending on the kind of thing, like a QA analyst, whatever. So usually if you're working together on a feature for like a week or weekly, 1 feature per week, let's just assume that you're making 1 feature per week. Let's say you estimate the work that it's going to do. So for example, if you were going to clean your house on a Saturday morning, which is like it's a ceremony for many people. Sorry, can you mute your mic? So if you want to clean your house on Saturday, like it's a ceremony for many people, like it's something that they do every time. I don't want to use the word that's coming to my head. So you know how you normally structure your cleaning. Like you probably wash plates first, you cook, you sweep the floor, you mop the floor, you wash your clothes. So that's the structure that you always do. Like that's how you do it every day. You wash the plates, cook, sweep the floor, wash your clothes, mop the floor. Let's say that's the structure. But you realize that you spend 2 hours doing this. Now, this Saturday is packed with a lot of things. I'm just using an example. This Saturday is packed with a lot of things. You have to do so many things. So you need to spend 1.5 hours on your cleaning today. So now we need to figure out what exactly is making us spend 2 hours. Is it that particular task takes 2 hours, or there are some things that you just makes it drag on? So first, let's say you know that if you play Burna Boy, you're gonna stop and dance. First, remove Burna Boy from your playlist for that day. So delete Burna Boy and like use other things that would still keep you active. Let's say if you start with sweeping, you get really tired because you hate sweeping. So if you start with sweeping, you get really tired and then you start to extend the time for sweeping, and then that's why you extend to 2 hours. You say, okay, let me do sweeping last, right? You're taking it off the first and then you're taking it to the last thing that you want. Let's say when you cook, you always go back to taste. So when you're mopping, you're going to taste the meat. When you're mopping, you mop a little bit again, you're going to taste the meat. So you know that, no, let me cook maybe before I sweep, right? So when you rearrange everything, you actually find out that, oh, all of a sudden I can spend 1 hour, 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. So that's how product management is for a product team, right? You know that this guy spends 2 hours to deliver this feature. So how can we need to launch maybe faster? So how can we make him work in 1 hour, 30 minutes? So you remove the blockers and you also allow maybe maybe one person says something, he doesn't understand it properly. Okay, so let's design it for him, right? So when he sees it, he knows exactly what we're talking about. So you measure to make things more effective, basically. So because you had not measured why you were taking 2 hours to sweep or to clean the house, you didn't know that you could make it more effective. By the way, this doesn't mean you should now start making. If you enjoy just spending 2 hours, that's fine. I'm just using that as an example. So now you can see that you can actually be more effective. So if you say, oh, I want to spend 1 hour doing all these things, it's actually possible. Just need to remove the blockers, the things that are making you spend too much time cleaning. Stephanie. So let me quickly leave this place. Let me move to the next one. Anyways, so let's talk about it a little bit. So user stories, it's a way that people write a feature or from the benefit of the user. Oh, sorry. Sorry. It's a feature but for the benefit of the user. Like I said before, a product is something that can be sold to satisfy a customer's needs. So the needs always take priority. They always take priority. The needs of the users always take priority. Whether it's you're trying to research, understand if this is actually a need that exists in the first place, is this a need that exists for a lot of people? Because I cannot be building something for just a maker in Port Harcourt, right? My business is not going to grow because only a maker that is buying my products, right? But I want to build something for the whole of Nigeria or for the whole of the Southwest or so the whole of the Southeast or just the North, right? So I know that I can build, I want to take over that whole market, right? So that's the highest I want to be. So when I get there, I feel like, oh, I want to extend to somewhere else, I extend to somewhere else. So user stories are features written from the need or wants of the users. So there's actually a structure that we used to write it as a dash type of user. I want to this so that I can, so I'm just going to just a user story off the top of my head. So a user story for a feature list on Zoom is going to look like, I want to hear my Treford teacher teach so that I can understand what product management, as a Treford student, I want to hear my Treford product manager teach so that I can understand what product management is all about. So that's a feature written as a user story. I'm not sure I explained that very well, but let's, if user stories is very large. If I want to start to take that in, it's going to take a lot. So PRDs are like product requirement documentation. They're usually very high level compared to user stories. So they just who you're building for, which market space you're building in, what you need in terms of development, what you need in terms of sometimes even some legal stuff, you can put them on the PRD, but it's a living documentation. Every documentation is software because software encourages that you iterate all the time. So the fact that you said you want to build a car or it's software car app, for example, and you wrote a couple of things down, doesn't mean everything has to stay in that scope. If you start to do your research and you realize that people don't like 4-wheeled cars, people prefer 3-wheeled cars. And in your PRD, you wrote that you're making a 4-wheeled car. The moment you realize that that's a dead end, you can go to your PRD and change that 4-wheeled car into a 3-wheeled car. That's what makes it a living documentation. It changes, right? So roadmaps just are supposed to help achieve milestones. So if you're starting a business, you need milestones that you want to achieve, right? You can't just start and just vibe things. It's not bad, but if you want to be a serious business that wants to actually compete in the market, you need to have milestones that you're chasing after. So a roadmap is just like you're using Google Maps. Can see map exists in both places. Now, if I start my Uber ride today and I say I want to go to Aso Rock, for example, if I start the ride, I see that Uber says it's going to take me 30 minutes to get to Aso Rock, right? I'm sure we all follow this example. But sometimes goats might cross the road, or cows might cross the road, or a chicken might cross the road, and I have to pause, right? When Uber was giving me that estimate of 30 minutes to Aso Rock, it did not consider that I'm going to meet cows and chickens on the road, right? Or there might be an accident that slows me down for 5 minutes. So ideally, Uber told me I'll get to Aso Rock in 30 minutes, but I spent 45 minutes, right? There's a whole 15 minutes extra. Now, I want to explain why that relates to roadmaps. So roadmaps are not supposed to be too tied to timelines that, no, you have to get this at this point, right? Because when you roadmap something, you are thinking ahead. You don't know what the reality is. So in reality, you need to be able to adjust. And that's why a lot of things in product management is just adjusting to make things more effective, right? So you're not adjusting to relax and be slow. You're adjusting so you can figure out what a problem is and kick it and make things move faster. I saw a chat. Let me just say, a buffer. Yes, exactly. So that's what an understanding of what product roadmaps are. So people have argued that you shouldn't put time in product roadmaps, but you should put milestones. And I do agree with that a lot, actually. So you can say we want to, in the first quarter of 2022, we want to have a product that people can buy and sell. In the second quarter of 2022, we want 200 people to be using our product that we've made in quarter 1. In quarter 3 of 2022, we want 2,000 people. In quarter 4 of 2022, we want to branch out from the southwest to the southeast. These are milestones, right? So you are chasing those milestones. They are not saying on the 28th of May, I want to release a product that people can buy. Sometimes it might not work that way, right? So that's why they are apart here at the beginning, but they have a goal. Their goal is, these are two opposing teams. Their goal is to actually get a ball that is going to be here to the other goal, right? So for them to do that, they need to come together and be as tight as possible. Let me just, so you can see how there's a whole process where they have to move their bodies to make sure that they are so tightly knit together that they can push the other team, get the ball to this guy, which is like the super fast guy, for him to start to run. You can see how they look at each other. We look at their eyes. They set their eyes on who they are playing against, and making sure that everybody is actually having the same mindset to get this thing done. So if you look into this thing from the aerial view, you won't see any space in between. They are super tight together because they have a single goal, which is to get that ball from where it is. So you can see they are super tight together. Even the heads, like, I don't see men do this normally, but you can see he's putting his head in between the bum of two other guys because they have a very specific goal to get that ball to the end of the goal. So yeah. So that's why I want to start. Sorry, I'll just stop this. So now I'm going to explain to you what Scrum is from that, because it was actually coined from that rugby word, Scrum. So Scrum in itself has 4 ceremonies. So we have sprint planning, we have daily Scrum, we have sprint review, we have a sprint retrospective. And it's very interesting because what happens in Scrum is you pass the ball to the guy at the end. When you get the ball, you pass to the guy at the end, and then he starts to run. So like I said, for every company, you need to make it very, very effective. You need to make it super effective. So one of the ways you can do that is to make things faster. So this Scrum methodology of Scrum framework actually uses the concept of making things in shorter cycles, right? So if you say I want to do something in 1 month, it's going to take a while. Or you say I want to do this in 1 week, you can say, oh, this is achievable. I heard something from a very popular person, I can't remember right now. They said we always underestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we overestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. I heard it and I was like, because usually you say in 10 years, I want to be, let's use product managers, for example. In 10 years, I want to be the head of products of a company. But in 1 year, you're just saying, let me just see if I can get a job, right? Because you've underestimated what you can achieve in 1 year, right? 1 year is 12 months. If it's focused for 12 months, definitely you can actually be as much better than you thought you were. But 10 years, because it seems so long, it's not actually so long, but because it seems so long, you put very huge things in long expanses of time. So that's what the concept that Scrum tries to stop. So we make short cycles with achievable goals so that we can move very fast, right? If you're saying we want to do something in 1 month, it might take it very slow. But we say, oh, we want to do it every 3 days or every week or every 2 weeks. Now we are doing things much faster. Like we set goals that are achievable in 2 weeks. Now, one of the major things about product management is when you say you want to build a whole product, it might feel so extensive that people start to feel, oh, I'm sure a couple of us experience this as well. When you say, oh, I want to change the furniture setting in my house, like I want to change everything that has furniture in the house. It's a lot of things. So it might just be a little bit slow, but you say, oh, I want to change this tool first. I want to change my TV stand. I want to change one sofa. You can get that in probably like a week or in 2 weeks. You get that, and then you start the next thing. But you say, oh, I want to change the whole setting at once. It's going to take much longer than you expect. So that's one of the things that Scrum is all about. So Scrum helps us to, sorry, I love my train of thought, to make achievable goals in short periods of time, right? So just like as you see there, where everybody's together, there's something called the daily Scrum or a stand-up. So what this happens, usually 15 minutes, where everybody says, oh, this is what I did yesterday. This is what I'm stuck with, or a blocker. And this is what I want to achieve tomorrow. That's a stand-up. And that's something that they do every day in daily Scrum or stand-up. Sprint planning, you plan for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. Depends on what your Scrum time period is. So 2 weeks, for example, you want to achieve this feature and this feature and this feature for these 2 weeks. This is what it's going to take for us to achieve it. A sprint review is like a demo. You're showing them, oh, this is what we achieved during this sprint. A sprint retrospective is when you try to do an analysis of what happened during the sprint, the 2 weeks. Oh, Okwe fell sick. That's why we couldn't finish feature 1. Bayo's girlfriend calls him by 2 p.m. every day at work. And that's why we couldn't finish feature 2. So you need to understand all these things for the next sprint to make it more effective. So that's basically what Scrum is. Your products, people don't know what your product is. It's in the introduction phase. So you need to get people to understand your product, know your product, and all that. So for example, years ago, people didn't know what Zoom was. But all of a sudden, Zoom came into the idea of like, Zoom is in almost everybody's laptop at this point. So growth, we can see when some companies start to grow, they're making a lot of sales, they're everywhere. You understand? There was a time nobody knew what Flutterwave was, but now if you're making a transaction, it's likely Flutterwave, powered by Flutterwave. So maturity is when it's saturated. Like one very good example is Google. Google has already a large space. I don't think they are recording max growth as when they came in and then they started to grow. So at this point, your users are probably super familiar with what your product is, right? They probably use it every day. They use it for their daily routines, whatever it is. Now, because you have competitors, actually. Are they in their majority stage? Yeah, I think so. I think you're correct. So let me just quickly use the example for Google. So you get Google. It was Facebook I wanted to use. Sorry, I said Google. I like Google so much. So let me use Facebook as an example. So when Facebook came in, I remember when I was in secondary school, I created my first Facebook account. It was the buzz, Jonathan. The big boys were on Facebook. I still do not like that product so much. Anyways, so I remember I was super happy when I got on Facebook because all my friends were on Facebook. So I think that was their growth, early growth stage. But at some point, they were first people that got to know about Facebook. So very interesting thing about Facebook. Facebook started in actually university. So they first started in the university, and then they started from there. They grew, and then me in Nigeria in my secondary school, I was super happy. I was super happy because I signed up on Facebook. I was telling you, oh, I have a Facebook account, and I was feeling like a big boy. So that's their growth stage. People are happy about using it. Yeah, I used to go to actually. Never really understood that product. But anyways, people were happy about using it. People were telling people about it. They were growing massively. But I can say we're sort of like in a maturity. I won't say it's decline, like a maturity stage for Facebook. And do you know how Facebook tried to combat that? They did something very interesting lately. Now everybody's talking about Meta and the metaverse because they realized that everybody's familiar with what they're doing. They've acquired Instagram, they've acquired WhatsApp. Everybody pretty much knows what Facebook is about. Everybody's familiar with their products. But now they need to give something exciting because they want to capture more people and stay relevant in the market, right? So they are doing this. I said Google earlier. So Google is launching a product where you can pay. You can pay from Google. You can pay for stuff from Google, right? That's like it's finishing like a lot of Nigerian startup fintech startups. It's just hitting them. Yeah, sorry. It's just hitting them at their business ideology. I forgot the word. But imagine if Google actually goes on with that. Like, why, if I can pay using Google, there's no need for me to use Flutterwave. There's no need for you to use Paystack. There's no need for me to use whatever fintech that you like that allows you to pay for stuff online, right? So that's a way to capture more people. But every stage has its peculiarity, and every stage has something you need to do to revive it as a product manager. Decline, I can categorically say Skype is in decline. And I remember, was it shortly after the lockdown or during the lockdown in 2020, their CEO made a very funny sort of joke where he was roasting himself and saying, and trying to beg people to come back to Skype. Like we started this thing, like Zoom, Google Meets, what's happening? We were here first, why? So he actually made a video. I was laughing because I was like, I can't really understand what is going on. So they are sort of decline. So if they want to maybe come up again or pivot into something else, they need to create something new and that will capture a lot more people and generate growth. Yahoo Mail that is dead. You understand? It's not declining, it's dead. Rest in peace to them. I'm so sorry. Like Yahoo Mail, I'm sorry. In case in the future I apply to your company, this is mistake, a slip of tongue. Because I don't know where this video is gonna reach. So, anyways, let's just move on. So you can say it's almost the same thing like a relationship life cycle. So I put it beside each other because when you are sort of like starting a relationship, to get fine girl. I'm going to use like as a guy, fine girl, you're looking at the girl, oh my god, it's fire. Everything is fire. There's butterflies, right? You can see that's why it's hop is. Okay, let me just annotate. Give a second. Oh wow, no good. So you can see this stage. Everything is, you're meeting, like, how can human being be fine like this? Skin soft, smelling good, all that. Then after a few months, you start to know each other. Do you understand? She has an annoying laugh. You start to notice it. But you're a very funny guy. You're making jokes all the time. Like, oh my God, you're fine. Why are you laughing like this? Well, of course, you're not going to say that. But anyways, you start to notice something. So at that point, as people, it's just like a relationship, as people start to understand your product, they start to get used to it. And it could almost feel like they're getting tired. So at this point, you probably got married, you're living together, you've seen that she snores, she farts beside you sometimes, if it's something that you don't like. And like, oh, can something be so fine, be producing such a foul smell? So I'm very sorry to the girls on this call. Please do not look for me after this. I'm very sorry. It's just example, though. It's example. It's never good. You can start with a small feature of the whole idea you're talking about. So like messaging, for example, instant messaging. Let's say instant messaging did not exist. So you can say, oh, instead of, remember those days when we used to have to send text messages, so people were crushing them. Can't remember, right? So, oh my God, my AirPods are about to go off. Anyways, you guys can still hear me, right? So imagine the pain of having to buy credits and then sending a text message. Oh, I'm thinking about you tonight. Please don't forget, I'll text you in the morning, finish. The only time you can have real-time conversations is, okay, please put your phone by your side. Let me be texting you, or you call. Gen Zs cannot relate, right? Gen Zs cannot relate. I'm actually sort of like a Gen Z, but you guys don't know what we went through, right? You have to buy credits and text, right? But now you can do that. You can be on a chat on WhatsApp or Instagram, right? So if I was trying to make Facebook, I probably want to start with that because I know that that's a need that people had at the time. Yes, so you don't lose resources, you don't lose money. So sometimes your MVP can be something you don't spend anything on. If you're a miser, it's not bad. Because for me, for example, if I'm going to start a business, I don't want to be spending 100,000 before I start to see my first profits. Nope, that's not going to happen, right? From zero, let me find out if this is viable, right? And that's what an MVP is. So I'm going to show you a couple of MVPs. So this was Facebook's MVP, the real Facebook MVP. So look at this, and I'll look at the Facebook that we have today. If you have Facebook fans here, so you can see this. This is what it was before it became the Facebook of today. It looks like, what the hell is this? Simple question. No, there's no scholarship for this. Would you use this Facebook right now?
No, I can't. This Facebook is outdated.
Yes, this looks weird. Like, what the hell is this? But this was the first thing that they released. Another one was Twitter. Look at Twitter's MVP. Don't look at the Twitter that we have today. Look at this. They don't even have their brand colors here. And so, yes. So the funny thing is, a lot of the products that we see today were actually pivots. Like their CEOs sort of building something, but they pivoted into this. Like Twitter, for example, was supposed to be a podcast product. It's supposed to be a product for podcasts, but they found out that people need to micro-blog, right? You don't have to have a blog start like Linda AKG, but you want to be talking about your thoughts. You want to be talking about what is happening. And they found that this market really exists. And then Twitter came about. And now they can see a lot of violence going on in Twitter because of one person. Sometimes the violence is unbearable, but it gives us the opportunity to experience all these funny things that happen sometimes. Box MVP, yeah. Sorry, there's no sound. I'll just explain to you as it's going on. We probably won't watch the whole of it, but I'll just watch and then at some point I'll start to talk. So let me just pause it now. Now, so this is an explainer video that Dropbox made. Do you know that when they made this video, they didn't have any product? They didn't have anything out. They just made a video that explained what they were trying to do. And the video blew up. I feel like, oh my God, this is something I need. Do you understand? I need something that I can access anywhere and I can find all my files in at any time, right? And then when they saw that there was a need for it, then they started to build it. At the time when they had their MVP, at the time where they did the MVP, they did not have a product. And there are different types of MVPs. It's a very extensive topic. I don't have to go into that right now, but that's where I work right now. So, building MVPs, I can say I'm smiling. It's such a beautiful thing. So I'll just play for a little bit just to see how they were explaining themselves, even though they didn't have a product. And by doing this, they could tell whether people needed this, whether there was a user group that actually needed this. They kept explaining that it was like a magic pocket that had everything you need in one place. Okay, so let's just stop this right here because time is really flying away and we need to move on. have just 40 minutes left. Okay, so let's continue. So we've talked a lot about product management. So now let's move into the person, the personality called product manager. Who's excited? Okay, so who is a product manager? Marty Kagan is one of the leading one of the product leaders in the product space. And she says that it is a product manager describes a job that is to discover a product that is valuable, useful, or usable rather, and feasible, right? You can get value from it, you can use it, and it is feasible to produce, to achieve by your resources, developers, designers, whatever. So I hate Venn diagrams, and a lot of people do, but I think it's one of the ways that I can explain who a product manager is. Like I said, you're in the middle of everything that's happening in the company. So UX is user experience. Usually that's what influences design. Tech, developers, engineers, business, data, QA, sales, marketing. So you're sort of like in the middle of all this, right? If you have any specific questions for this page, you can type it now. Because I know that these Venn diagrams can be overwhelming sometimes. Like, okay, you are here. What does that mean? So I'll just explain a little bit to see if there's anybody typing anything. So why is UX important? Now, I'll just ask a very simple question. If you were to buy a house or live in a house, which one would you? So you can see that even though the bricklayers built something, they built something that did not last, and the engineering was not very good. But this one, on the other hand, it's still standing today. So that's why engineering is important. As people are coding, they need to code. You need to get people that can code and that can fix things on time, right? So that you can see what is happening. So when Twitter came on, Twitter used to have a lot of downtime, right? But you can see now that we use Twitter very easily. Most of the time you're coming on, it's not off or it's not down, right? But when they first came out, they had to make interesting ways of telling people, oh, we are so sorry, the server is down. I think there was a bird that would do some funny animations, so people are not super hungry. But engineering is very, very important.
Because the person, usually one of the departments in the business is sales, and sales is easy when there's a need for what you're selling. So if you see this guy now, this is the point I was trying to pass across. It will not, if I wanted to sell this guy water, I won't have to talk too much. If I say need water, I say yes. But this one, because she has a cup of water, she's still taking from the tap. In the jar beside her, there's water. I'll probably have to take a lot to convince her to buy. Empathy, yes, 100%. And not everything has to be profit. If you want to build a business that just solves a problem, like NGOs, for example, like for this guy, it's also a viable organization. If you don't want to go into profit, but almost every company does eventually. So how does a product manager achieve the goals that he set out for the company? You need to be able to identify the problem by interacting with the users and stakeholders and all the different parts of the company. So as a product manager, understanding problem is very, very important. You need to take some time to understand the problem before you start to profile solutions at all. So I'll just say, if you want to be a very good or great product manager, you need to take time to understand problems. So I think when I had Maman on the call, Mama, I don't know, sorry, I forgot. But she said, at first, I almost thought that what was the highest priority to her was stocking her house with food. But when we kept on with the questions, I realized that what was actually priority to her was her business, right? So sometimes when you do analysis, if you don't probe further, you would assume wrongly, right? So that's why it's very good to take some time to understand the problem. Yeah, so you need to take some time to understand the problem, make sure that you're actually solving the problem that the person needs, right? So translating users' pain into business, marketing, product issues. So, there's a problem all the time. Actually, Nigeria is a very, very viable space for business. Why did I say that? It might not seem like it, but when people complain a lot, there's a problem. And where there's a problem, there's a solution. You can prefer a solution. But the thing is, if you rush into preferring a solution before understanding what the problem is properly, you would probably make a product that people do not want. But I can tell you, there's so many problems in Nigeria. It's not hard to understand that we have so many entrepreneurs in Nigeria, many business owners. There's so many things to complain about. And when there's a problem, there's a solution to that problem. So you could be the one to prefer the solution, or you could just be part of the people complaining. Anyways, sorry about that. Moving on. So number 3, provide context with adequate communication of the problems to engineers, marketers, finance, and support. So because you're working with different people, as much as you're learning about the problem, you need to communicate that problem to the people you're working with. So shared understanding is very important. Like, even though the engineer is just supposed to code it, if you're a product manager that can actually empathize the user's needs and their pain points to the understanding of the developer, I can bet you are building a product that would actually rival your competitors in the market. Because if your developer is coding and is coding with the problem in mind, it's not coding because it's just building a product for his salary, or just building a product for fun. Like, it's coding because there's an actual problem, right? It's coding because he can actually probably feel the pain of the problem. Trust me, you're building something. So you being able to communicate what that pain is and communicate the effects of that pain to the rest of your team members and make sure that they are aligned on what we are trying to solve and aligned on how we want to solve it, it makes you a good product manager. Yeah. So the next one, keep problem findings, decisions, and solutions documented. One very important thing about being a product manager is documentation. You need to document. Things get misread, things get misunderstood. You need to document. Okay. You need to document all the time, because apart from the fact that documentation is important in a company, documentation is important for your progress as a person, as a intending product manager or aspiring product manager. And this is one thing I always tell people that are interested in product management. I'm going to tell you for free as well here, that document your process. Document your process. If I can catch a glimpse of your growth as a product manager, it gives me an understanding to who you are, right? So sometimes when you're applying to places, you can, and you share your Medium account, for example, they can see the day you decided to start product management because you wrote something about it. Oh, I saw Ini talk about product management in Trefford, and I think I'm interested in this. I'm interested in travel tech because of this. You write an article. They can see there's a trend of your passion in product management, and they can say, oh no, it seems that this guy is really interested in this sector. So let's give him a chance, right? Documentation is important, even if you're not a product manager. Stakeholder management and asset communication. So this is one not so interesting part about product management. So everybody has what they want to build. Everybody has a feature they would like to see on your product. So you have stakeholders, you have shareholders that are saying, build this feature next, build this feature next, build this feature next. Well, you can only build what is needed. So even if they're saying you need to be able to manage in a way that this person doesn't feel offended, this person doesn't feel offended, but we are still building the right thing. So there's actually frameworks for that. I think there's one that's, I forgot it right now, but there are frameworks around stakeholder management that you can use to visualize how to handle it, right? Focus on inputs and outputs metrics. Yeah, so in product management, we say that you should focus more on the outcome. Like, make sure that people are seeing the big picture. It's not just about make a design prototype. You are making a design prototype because it helps a man suffering from thirst in the desert in Namibia. So I understand that I'm not just making just any prototype. I'm empathizing as I'm making the prototype. So experiments, designs. I just need to move really fast. So yeah, usually you would see job profiles. They will say they're looking for a product owner, they're looking for a product manager, they're looking for a Scrum master. So let me just give you just a little bit of an insight into it. So a product manager is not limited to Scrum. Actually, product manager doesn't exist in the Scrum framework. It's a product owner that exists in the Scrum framework. But there's not too much of a difference. It's just about the responsibilities, right? There's not too much of a difference because a product owner works in a Scrum team. A product manager can work in a Scrum team, or a product manager can work any other place that does Agile, for example, Kanban team, whatever it is. But a product manager is limited to, a product owner is limited to Scrum. So a product owner prioritizes the backlog of requests of things that you want to do. He organizes it, he prioritizes it, and then he takes it into sprints, right? Into the sprints that we work on. Scrum Masters is a Scrum role, as it is in the word, but they help mostly with the meetings. They help with stand-ups and all those things. So moving on, please write your questions. I'll come back to this. Yeah, just one scholarship. So I need to ask the question at the right time. So what are the core skills of a product manager? You need to have product taste is actually something that comes with experience with using products, handling products, building products, and all that. So it really just comes from experience. So the more you expose yourself to software products, the more you understand how they are supposed to be. Like if you've not built any products before, you probably don't know that one of the first things you need to do is an onboarding process. You need to get people to sign up or sign in to your application, whether it's a website or it's a mobile application, whatever. You need them to sign in. So if you've built one product, you know that that's something that is it's a basic need, right? So you need to put that into the building process. So ability to prioritize, that we said before, ability to execute. You need to be able to execute on time and effectively. Strategic sensibility. You need to be able to sense strategy that is going to work. And that all comes from actually understanding the problem. Once you understand the problem very well, trust me, the solutions will come. So don't rush into disturbing yourself too much about what solutions you want to prefer, but just concentrate on the problems, understanding it very well. When you understand it very well, the problem will be very obvious. The solution will be very obvious. So you need to have high communication skills. You need to be able to explain to people and make them understand, because one of the things that delays product teams is lack of communication or improper communication between the teams. So you need to be able to, if you need to prototype, you need to wireframe rather for your design to understand what you're trying to say. You need to wireframe for your engineering to understand what you're saying. Oh, this button needs to be a certain way so that our users can click it very easily. You need to be able to communicate that properly. Metrics and data-driven, I think I've talked about that a little bit already. So yes, as a product manager, there's like every other career, there's a progression that you have. So a associate product manager, rotational product manager, depending on the company, or product manager, they are individual contributors. You can see IC here. Yes, team members need to contribute. Correct. So you can see IC here. IC means individual contributor. So you're not necessarily managing anybody. You are contributing individually. I mean, you're not necessarily managing another product manager, but you are contributing individually. But as you grow, you get to points where you have to manage other product managers, right? So now it's a place of higher responsibility. You need to be able to anticipate problems. You need to be able to understand problems very well and pass it down to other product managers to execute them. So as an individual contributor in a large company, usually you're just there to execute. For example, if you are coming in as an associate product manager in Google, for example, you don't necessarily need to come up with solutions or anticipate problems or anything. There are people ahead of you that are doing that, and they're just like, oh, hey, take this, execute it. So that's what you're going to be doing. But as you go up the ladder, there's more responsibilities and there's more thinking that you have to do, right? So you need to anticipate problems, you need to solve them and all that. But at the lower level of the ladder, where you're still an individual contributor to a team, you just need to execute things. So you can see from a product manager, you can become a group product manager, you can become a product management director, you can become a vice president of product, you can become a chief product officer, or a CEO. So like I said before, I told you I applied to 3 places last year. So one of the places, oh my God, what's happening? One of the places I got an interview for this role, and I was not up to 1 year as a product manager. So don't limit yourself in the possibilities that you can achieve. Of course, they said no, because obviously I've not shown a track record to be able to do this, but it was a huge ego boost for me, because I knew that I could get in for a CPO position. I can get an interview audience for a CPO position, then I can apply anywhere and I'll be fine. So anyways, and yes, that's one way. Don't rate yourself, because imposter syndrome is something that disturbs a lot of product managers. Don't evaluate yourself by how you think of yourself. And that's why I always tell people to, even if you're happy where you are, actively apply just to see what your experience is like in the markets, right? What are people willing to pay for what you have to offer, right? So if you're applying, you just get an interview, you're fine where you are, and they just say, guy, we are willing to pay you $200K per year. Where you are, you're collecting $50K per year. You have to make it. You don't always have to move for money, but you have to make it. But you know where you are. So even if you want to renegotiate with your company, you're not going to be renegotiating for a 5K increase per year now. You probably be negotiating for like a 50K increase. If you don't want to move for money, you want to stay there. You understand? You know what your rate is in the market. Anyways, let me just move on. So these different types. Yeah, so there are different types of product managers depending on the sector that the person is working in. Data product manager, they work with data. Web3, they work in the Web3 space, crypto, blockchain, blah, blah, blah. Technical product managers are people that have a very in-depth understanding of a technical expertise. So usually people assume technical product manager is only product managers that can code. That's not necessarily true. So sometimes people write technical product manager because they need technical expertise in no code, for example. I'm a technical product manager in no code. I've worked in no code for a while, understand what it means to be in no code. So if you write a technical product manager, I read the roles and responsibilities and I see you're asking for someone that has experience in no code, then I would apply, even though I cannot code. UX, where can UX product managers be found? So it's not necessarily about the type. That's what I'm saying. It's the sector, right? So there are companies that are very UX inclined. So when they are making posts or job boards for product managers, they're looking for someone that has experience in design or understands how design works, right? But even if you see a job role and you see them write all these things and you feel like you have 50% or 60% or 70% of the requirements, apply. I'm going to tell you this for free. Don't be second guessing yourself. Don't shut yourself out. Apply. Because there's a lot of competition in product. Many people are moving into employment is necessary for tech companies only. Usually for tech companies, but I've seen product managers in church. Like it was very shocking. So I spoke to someone and he said he's looking for a product manager for his church. So yeah, not necessarily tech companies alone, any type of company. But these days, you see that almost everything that exists has a software side of it. So you see NGOs have websites, churches have websites, mosques have websites, I believe. So all these places, they still have a software part of it that needs to be managed. So they might decide to hire a product manager. You can work anywhere, basically. But you know that if you're working in a traditional environment, you cannot use strategies from software there, because like I said, waterfall process works is not necessarily outdated. There are sectors where you have to do waterfall. If you're making a bridge, you have to write out all the requirements and make sure that everything, all the calculations check out before you start building anything, right? So if you are working there as a product manager, the bridge being the product, right? You need to use the different strategies to work there, right? And you need to understand how it works. But basically the same concepts work there. You just need to modify it properly. For example, you need to know whether that place needs a bridge, right? If there's a bridge on that in that area, there's no point making a second bridge, except maybe there's traffic congestion or something, right? So all those things still come into place. So we have API product manager. So there are companies that just API is application programming interface. So it's just like a connector. Like if you see my phone, there's a charger, it's plugged to a socket. So this phone is a product. The socket itself is a product. But this thing that connects it together can sort of be said to be an API, right? So sometimes these products cannot work alone without the use of my socket, right? So I need a charger to connect my phone to my socket. And that's what like something like what an API is. So some people, when they are building, they don't want to build everything from scratch. For example, if I'm building a product that accepts payments, right? I would probably want to partner with Flutterwave, right? So I build the interface on my end and I just connect to Flutterwave's API. So when people want to pay, they are using my platform, but they are using Flutterwave's API to pay into me. So Flutterwave gets a cut from my profits. I keep a certain percentage of the profits. To know how to code. Yes, it is an added advantage. It can also be a disadvantage because there's an ideology around people that code that you always want to build. Most times, people that code don't try to find out the problem. This is what we are saying, ask questions, find the problem. They don't do that so much. They just say, oh, this is something I can do. They start building it, right? So if you start to have that mindset in a way, it could limit your effectiveness as a product manager, right? So it has its pros and cons. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. So the fact that you don't have knowledge of coding at all has this very huge advantage. The fact that you have a knowledge of of coding as a product manager has its own huge advantage as well. So it depends on how you can play to your strengths and your weaknesses. But trust me, you can be a badass product manager without a single understanding of code. You don't even know where your syntax is. You can, right? You can also be a very, if you can understand empathy, understand how to communicate, and you have the understanding of coding, trust me, there's nothing stopping you. Because your estimations, as your developers are estimating, oh, you know that this will take 1 week based on the expertise of your products, of your engineer. But there's something called engineering managers as well, which is actually becoming a very popular role in the US, where there are people managing developers that have been developers for a very long time. So they can coexist in the same organization. Someone trying to say something? Okay, so engineering managers and product managers can actually coexist in the same situation, in the same organization. So if you have an engineering manager, I don't think you need to have so much knowledge of code in that kind of organization structure. Can the UX designer also be a product manager? 100%. Nobody is stopping you to do anything you want to do. Anything you want to do, do. You want to be a designer and a product manager at the same time. If you have time to work for 2 companies and do the same thing or freelance on one, do it. Like, it's your life. Live it. Okay, so AI product manager, that's artificial intelligence. So I'm working on a product with my company. We are working on a product, an edtech product that is supposed to help kids learn the alphabet. So what that product is supposed to do is when the letter comes on, the baby or child is supposed to say it, then the AI structure on the app reads it and tells the baby or the child whether they did a good thing or a wrong thing. So AI product manager, no code product manager like me. Hello. So yeah, let's move on. Yeah, almost done, I think. Sorry, slide is not working. So that's why I'm just breezing past those things. Plus there's no time. Hey, there's no time. So the different sectors that product managers can work: fintech, financial tech, like Flutterwave, edtech, like Treford, health tech. So I'll give you an example of an health tech. So anyways, in health, Web3, crypto companies, no code, my company, entertainment, Maven, if they have an app, if they decide to build an app, you can be the product manager building the app for Maven, or fashion, events, blah, blah, blah. So product management keywords. Okay, I talked about a couple of these things already. We don't have time anymore. Yes, so let me answer some questions. How was this so far, guys? Buddy. Superb, exciting. Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimashita. Okay, so let me take a couple of your questions. So the questions are lost in a lot of spaces. So I would take the first 5 questions that come. I'll just answer them right now, and then I'll ask a question. Do you still have a case study template? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. How much are you willing to pay for it? This our man is no more typing. How much do you want to pay? Okay, don't worry, let's talk, Sha. He said, okay, money. Yes, we can link up. I'll drop my socials in the chats when I'm about to leave. Not now. We skipped a slide. Which slide? Which slide did I skip? Let me go back to the beginning. So let me know when I get to the slide that was skipped. Oh, okay. Yes. I think we've talked about most of everything already. Yes, I did skip a slide. I'll get back to it now. Yeah, so let me just quickly talk about this. So in its core, product management has to do with the vision, the strategy development, the product development, marketing, and sales, right? So internally, you are setting the vision of the company. The vision is really important. Don't have time to talk so much about this, but you still have other people facilitating other parts of this program. So they would also tell you a couple of things. There's product planning as well, product strategy, how you intend to achieve your vision. You need to test all the time. So internally, you are doing all these things with your product team, and you're making sure the product is fine. So externally, these are things that communicates directly with the users. So yeah, doing competitive differentiation. How are you doing better than other competitors doing the same thing in the market or similar things in the market? Market research, how large is your market? Is your market growing? Positioning, where are you? Is that where your product is supposed to be, right? Because if you're a pure water company in the desert, I'm sure you will sell out every few hours, right? So branding, like I said, with the picture, you can see an uncompleted building, you can see a building that is complete. Obviously, everybody's going to go for a building that is complete. Customer communication. I'm sure most of us have been super annoyed by a problem we have and we can't speak to anybody on the call. You're speaking to someone on the call and it's not giving you a solution that you want. So those are very important external attributes of a product company. So pricing, promotion, advertisements, sales support, analytics, basically. But I want to take questions. So let me just go to that now. Sent you an invite on LinkedIn. How did you find my LinkedIn? Oh my God. How do I get a foreign job by a foreign job as a product manager? So this is sort of like my expertise, like, because I spent a couple of months just analyzing the market for. So the thing is, internationally, one of the people that will get the highest number of jobs is developers, followed by designers, then product managers. So product management jobs are not as many as product design jobs internationally, or are not as many. I mean, for us, so I mean, in their space, there are many jobs. But like as a Nigerian applying to the UK or to the US, you probably won't see as many options as a designer would or as a developer would. And that's why you need to make your advantage show. Your advantage is that you're a product manager. Engage product management concepts in your applications, right? And you will get what you're looking for.